In this video, we're talking about what's working with Facebook ads right now, and I'm sharing my agency's top 7 tips so you can create the most high converting, profit producing Facebook ad possible. Let's get to it. Hey there, my name is Adam Earhart, Modern Marketing Strategist, and welcome to the Modern Marketing Show, where we help you generate more leads, customers, and sales by making way better marketing. So, if you're interested in learning the latest and greatest marketing strategies, tools, tips, tricks, and tactics, well, you may want to consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Alright, so let's talk Facebook ads. Specifically, let's talk about what's working actually right now, today, and in the real world. Because, as you may have heard or may have experienced, competition is at an all-time high. You're hearing complaints about diminishing returns and decreased reach, and the effectiveness of the campaign hitting an all-time low. But for some of us, on the other hand, we're still experiencing wildly profitable campaigns and getting great results with the platform. Well, my friend, that's why I want to share with you 7 tips that we're using inside the agency to consistently generate 5, 6, and even 7-figure generating Facebook ad campaigns, even in today's competitive landscape. Alright, so let's kick it off with tip number 1, to go long. Now, there's all sorts of different discussions and debates when it comes to how long a Facebook ad should be. Should it be short and punchy and maybe just 1 or 2 lines? Should you go for a medium length ad and try to cram a little more information in there? Or should you go for a long or a super long copy and try to script out like an entire post or an entire sales page or an entire long form copy ad? Well, like most things, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. However, there has been a trend lately towards longer form copy ads. This means really fleshing out the details of your offer in the ad itself rather than relying on the second stage, which would be the landing page or the sales page or the blog article or wherever you're sending them to. Well, what we're doing here is we're essentially kind of fleshing out the details of the offer in the ad itself rather than on the landing page. Now, the reason this is working a little bit better is twofold. First of all, it keeps people on the platform a little bit longer, which Facebook likes. After all, if you've got a little bit of a post and they click the read more button and then they go through and they consume all of the content, they're going to be spending more time on the platform, and Facebook's going to reward you for that. The second reason it's a little more beneficial and showing some great results, at least right now, is because it kind of acts like a mini sales page right in the Facebook environment, meaning that the level of commitment or the level of action required by your potential customer or prospect is pretty low. After all they really have to do is click read more and then read more, rather than leaving Facebook, waiting for the page to load, and essentially really fully understanding that they are going through a bit of a sales process or a marketing funnel. Now, a couple real quick notes on using long form copy. For starters, what you want to do with the long form copy is tell a bit of a story and make it more of kind of a landing page copy, and all the content that you may have put on the second page, well, you can move a lot of that to that first step. But make sure it's intriguing, make sure it's entertaining, and probably most importantly, make sure you still hook them right from the beginning. So in other words, you almost want to write kind of a short form copy ad at the beginning anyways, and then build on it as you proceed. This is not the place to drone on and really bore them and never hook their attention, or your ad's not going to work no matter how long it is. Now, of course, just because long form copy is working really well, it doesn't mean there's still not a place for short form copy. And again, it's going to depend on your market and your business and your industry. For example, if you're selling a product or you have an e-com business, we're still seeing great results with short copy ad that basically just says, this is the product, here's what the offer is, and you can get it here. But if your sales process is a little more involved, requires a little bit more rapport and relationship building, well, long form copy is a great way to do that. My advice here is pretty simple, and it's really just to test all 3 different variations: a short form copy, medium form copy, and a long form copy. Fortunately, just by writing the long form copy first, you can kind of chunk out and distill down that medium and that short copy there, so at the end of the day, you still only really have to write 1 solid piece of copy. Alright, so the next thing we need to talk about is the powerful algorithm that Facebook has. You see, in today's market, the algorithm is becoming more and more powerful, and this is actually a really good thing, because back in the day, we used to have to micromanage every single little detail in order to extract the maximum value possible from the platform. But as the popularity of Facebook ads continues to grow, and as they extend their reach to regular business owners and entrepreneurs and not just techie, nerdy marketers like myself, well, they've kind of needed to make it a little more approachable and a little easier to use. It's for this reason that one of my tips here is to leave things with more default settings than we've ever left before. Now, if you're just getting started with Facebook ads, this is great because it means you're not going to need to mess around with all of the techie details and sort of variations on placements and budgeting, and you can really leave things more automatic than setting them manually and having to kind of dial in every single little minute feature. Now, a real world example here is, let's take the all placements feature. Of course, you have the option to manually choose your placement, like if you want it in the mobile newsfeed only, or Instagram feed, or Instagram story, or maybe a messenger ad. Well, you can manually select those. Or we're seeing some pretty good results by just picking all placements and really letting Facebook optimize for what's going to get us the best results. Another option here is budgeting, and you can choose to set manual budgeting or just leave it automatic and let Facebook optimize. And again, at the end of the day, we're often getting some pretty good results by just letting Facebook do what it does best. We're even experimenting in an area that I thought I'd never give up control, which is split testing my images and my ad copy and the headlines and everything that we're using. So we are testing and dabbling with some of the split testing features with Facebook, seeing some pretty good comparable results. All that said, if you're experienced with Facebook ads and you still want to maintain control, that's fantastic, but I'd still recommend testing out some of the automatic options. All that said, if you're going to use the automatic options, you've got to make sure that you're watching it like a hawk, because when things go sideways, or if they go sideways, you want to be there to correct them as soon as possible. Alright, the next point that I need to cover here is on campaign budget optimization, or CBO. And depending on when you're watching this could be old news and is already been mandatorily enforced, so I'm going to keep this quick. Basically, what Facebook has done is removed the budget settings from the ad set level to the campaign level. All this really does is mean that they're essentially taking more control away from you by deciding and letting their algorithm optimize which ad set is going to get more precedence and more reach and more views, and which one's going to be prioritized showing to your market. Is this a big deal? Yeah, not really. I mean, you still have control, you just have to be aware that you're going to probably need different campaigns or more multiple campaigns if you want more detailed and kind of micro level control over who's seeing what and how often they're seeing it and what ads and what images and what creative and all that is getting distributed to the right audience. So my takeaway tip here is to really understand the nature and the structure of a properly set up Facebook ad campaign. Talking about using campaign budget optimization, where we've got the budget set at that campaign level, well, it means that if we have certain ad sets kind of embedded or buried under that campaign, we've got to be very careful to watch them and see which ad set is performing better than others so we can turn off the losers and scale up the winners. At the same time, if we have an ad set in there that we know is just crushing it, we may want to give it a dedicated campaign so that we're sure that Facebook is delivering it to the absolute best of its ability. At the end of the day though, this isn't that big a deal as long as you understand the mechanics of it. For that reason, I'm going to make sure to link up a video on Facebook CBO in the cards as well as in the description below that you can check out right after this. Alright, so the next thing that we desperately have to talk about is account bans. And the statement that I like to use is to beware the ban hammer. Now, we started to see Facebook really crack down hard on banning accounts last year, but this trend has really only continued and possibly gotten worse depending on who you talk to. You see, back in the good old days or the Wild West days of Facebook ads, we used to be able to get away with pretty much anything. I mean, we could make crazy claims, we could use all sorts of random images, we could call out our audience, we could do basically all the things that we can now do on YouTube, but we could do them on Facebook. Well, those days are officially gone, and we're now into a heavily moderated and very strict terms of service that you have to obey or your account will be deleted. Now, if you're one of the lucky few and you've got an ad that's a little bit questionable, well, Facebook might just disapprove the ad and say, no, you gotta try again. But sometimes they bypass this completely and shut down your ad account, or even worse, shut down your entire business manager. Sometimes it's recoverable, oftentimes it's not. So by far, the best strategy is to be preemptive and really proactive against kind of avoiding this in the first place. So how do you do this? How do you keep your ad account safe in today's market? Well, for starters, you really want to familiarize yourself with Facebook's terms of service. I know, it sounds incredibly boring, and to be honest, it's pretty boring, but at the end of the day, it's going to keep your ad account safe, which means more marketing, more advertising, and more revenue for your business. All good things, all worth the time and sacrifice required to do a little bit of dry reading. Next, what we've heard from our reps at Facebook, and something we've seen anyways for quite some time, is that really need to keep the tone and the style and the theme of your ads way more upbeat and way more positive. We used to be able to really harp on the negatives and find that pain and really dig in order to present our business or our product or our service as the solution to the pain that they're going through. This is still the case, but less so, and we definitely want to focus on the positives and really keeping things a little more friendly and a little more happy and upbeat. Alright, a few more tips on keeping your account safe. For starters, if you have a questionable ad out there that's a little bit sketchy and it happened to fly under the radar and get approved, it doesn't mean that it's going to be approved forever, so you still want to do frequent ad account audits on your account, making sure that you're staying compliant. Next, if you're a larger business, you want to make sure that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Meaning, if you're relying solely on Facebook ads for all of your lead gen, you're going to want to diversify, which is one of the reasons that we've branched out really hard into YouTube ads as a supplementary and often main source of lead gen for our clients' businesses. Lastly, I'll link up a video in the cards as well as in the description below on what to do if your Facebook ad account does get banned. It's probably worth taking a quick look through just so you can take preemptive measures and make sure that you never have to deal with this hassle. Alright, so the next tip, and one of the key differentiators between those who are getting great results from their Facebook ads today and others who are just scraping by, maybe breaking even or losing a lot of money, is that the successful advertisers have mastered the funnel. You see, by far, one of the biggest mistakes I see both novice and even experienced Facebook ad managers make is that they try to get the ad to do absolutely everything in one sitting. You see, it's not the ad's job to make the sale or to capture the lead or to do anything that's kind of further down the funnel. Rather, the job of the Facebook ad is really just to get the click. That's it. Now, once someone's clicked, the job of the next stage of the funnel, we'll say the landing page in this case, well, the job of the landing page is to collect the lead. And the thank you page, after you've collected the lead, well, that might be the place to generate the sale or continue to nurture the relationship or however your funnel's set up. Just like cramming 10 different calls to action into one ad is going to leave people confused and taking no action, well, the same thing happens when you try to get your ad to do way too much when all it really should do is maybe tell a bit of a story, engage them, entertain them, but at the end of the day, what we're seeking for here is the. Now this part's really important, so I'm going to recap it just one more time. When it comes to producing an ROI producing Facebook ad campaign, the job of your Facebook ad is to get the click. The job of your landing page is to get the opt-in. Your thank you page can make another conversion or make a sale. And your follow-up email sequence or retargeting sequence can continue to nurture the customer and continue to make upsells or downsells or cross-sells. But regardless of how your funnel is structured, you shouldn't rely on your ad to do all of the heavy lifting for you. That's why you've got a funnel. And if you don't have a marketing funnel or have no idea what it is, I'll make sure to link up a video on that one too, in the cards, as well as the descriptions below. Alright, so the next thing I want to share with you now is the power of lookalikes. Now, if you've been involved with Facebook ads for any length of time, you're aware that they've got something called lookalike audiences, which allows you to create an audience based off of website traffic or a customer list or an email list, and then have Facebook go out there and find you other people that look just like them. Hence lookalikes. Now, the beauty of lookalike audiences, or LALs if you want to be techie, is that they are becoming even more effective than they've ever been before, as Facebook continues to collect different data points on you and on your customers. Seeing as lookalike audiences are just so incredibly effective, they really form one of the pillars of our targeting strategy inside the agency. The key with lookalike audiences, however, is making sure they're populated with the right people in the first place, which is why your top of funnel traffic or lead gen strategy needs to be aimed and targeted at the right people. So you can collect an audience of 500 to 1,000 people, kind of on the low end, that you can build a lookalike audience off of. Now, when it comes to lookalike audience targeting, my suggestion here is to really test them all. We like to start with 1% lookalikes if possible, but we build them off the website traffic, off all pixel data, off customer lists, off email lists. If you have e-com, we build them off add to carts and checkout initiated and purchase confirmed and basically every different stage of the funnel, so you can find out which one is going to resonate best with your market. The next part of dominating with your Facebook ad strategy today is understanding that formatting matters. You see, Facebook is a visual platform. Yeah, I know it's not as photographic as Instagram and it's not as video-based as YouTube, but it's still an incredibly visual platform that can leverage both text as well as photos, as well as videos. Actually, they even tried doing audio for a bit, though that seemed to kind of fall off the rails. Regardless, formatting matters, especially when it comes to Facebook ads, where you're going to be paying money to have them deliver your content to your target market. My simple tip here is to make sure that you've really got your formatting dialed in so that your ad takes up the maximum real estate possible. For example, let's say you're using an image ad and you have the formatting option to make your image as a square. Well, you're obviously going to want to take this option because it's going to fill up the maximum real estate possible. On the other hand, if you just go with a traditional landscape style photo, you're going to take up a lot less real estate and therefore your ad is much less likely to be clicked and therefore less likely to be acted on. To use a terribly old school example, it's like paying for a full page magazine print and then only using half the page. doesn't make sense. In general, more space means more attention. More attention means more clicks, and more clicks means more leads and sales. The next thing you're going to want to do is check out the videos I have linked up here. The first is Facebook ads tips and tricks, which is going to walk you through even more strategies we're using inside the agency each and every day. The other is how to create better Facebook ads, which is going to do exactly what the title promises, help you create way better Facebook ads to generate more leads, customers, and sales for your business. So check them out now, and I'll catch you next time on The Modern Marketing Show.